All right, hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Let me just look you in the eye and just tell you that 2021 is the year that I am calling the year of the expert. Now, I know 2020 was a little bumpy, okay? And if you're a speaker, author, or expert, 2020 was even bumpier. But I'm gonna show you how there was a massive shift in the speaking or expert business and how there is a massive opportunity. Now, full disclosure, there were not many speaking events in 2020. Full disclosure, most of my income up until 2019 was made from live speaking events, standing up on stages, communicating to an audience. In fact, that was one of the things, many of you came to me because of Brian Tracy. That was one of the things that Brian brought me in to help him with in his business. It had to do with a component of speaking that I'm going to be talking about on today's show. And in 2020, almost all of that disappeared. But check it out. In 2020, my speaking business actually grew. And that's because of a shift that I made in March. And I'm going to talk you through that today. And then I'm going to answer your questions. So if you want to make more money, but more importantly, you want to be able to influence more people for good and create a business that really supports your lifestyle, this may be the most important webinar that you listen to, because today I'm going to be showing you some of the biggest shifts that happened in the last year and where to take your business this year and how to really dial it in so that you can totally crush it. And I'm going to show you as we go, there are 4 ways to make money with your message. One of those ways got wiped out in 2020, but 3 of them totally increased. Okay, so welcome to today's show. I'll be giving you some instructions on how we can really get some coaching done on today's show in a moment. But for those of you who just joined us, this is live, not recorded. I don't do that, okay? I wanna make sure that we can connect and really get down to business because you have a message, okay? And this is really, really important. You have a message that's going to change the world. There's no plan B. You're the one that was given this message to share. If you don't do it, no one else will. And the fact is, if you share your message and accomplish your mission, it makes it easier for me and everyone else to accomplish our amazing mission that God's given us on planet Earth. So if there's any way that I can get behind you and really help you to share your message this year, count me in, I'll do it. Now, before we really get to today, I want to take you back just a little bit. So if you look at your screen, there is a picture, hang on a second. There should be a picture of an F-18 on your screen. Now, the F-18 turns at 60 degrees per second. This is the airplane that I flew for 11 years during my service in the Marine Corps. That picture of that airplane is actually turning in full afterburner. Okay, and there is a process that you go through when you're going through flight school. Most Marine pilots like me, we start with the Navy, and I actually trained for 3 years with the Navy. And I did pretty well through flight school. Now, I wasn't always that successful. In fact, I failed kindergarten. I hate admitting that fact, but I'm a guy that failed kindergarten, so it's always needed to be very simple for me. When I made my way into flight school, I did fairly well in primary flight school. That was when I was flying a T-34, which is actually a picture. It's actually a picture of that right on the wall behind me. Then I made it into flying T2s, then A4s, and then finally I was in the F-18 and I went to my squadron. Now, having done well through flight school, I was in my young 20s, you get to be a little cocky, okay? That's exactly the word that I would use to describe that. And when I showed up at my fighter squadron, my first squadron here in Miramar, California, I came in with like a little bit of a swagger, okay? Now, most people understand that in the military, there is a rank structure. In my squadron, that rank structure went from lieutenant colonel, which was the highest officer in my squadron, down to major, captain, first lieutenant, second lieutenant, and all the way down. When I showed up, I was a captain. So I was brand new in my squadron at the time. But what most people don't know about Marine Corps fighting squadrons is there is a second rank structure. And the second rank structure is who's the best pilot. We had 18 pilots in my squadron, and everyone knew who the best pilot was. That guy, his name was Snake Dalton. What a great call sign, by the way, Snake Dalton. And everyone knew who the worst pilot was. That was me, okay? I hate admitting that right off the bat, but here's the thing. I showed up thinking that I was like the second coming of Iceman from Top Gun. and we fight each other in these 1-against-1 dog fights. I shut up like I was the second coming of Iceman, and I started getting beat. Oh my gosh. I was just getting beat. Now, there is a moment, I don't know if you've ever experienced this in your life before, where you're like, maybe I'm in the wrong profession. I'm just getting so beat. And I was a pretty successful person up until that point. I'd been playing college sports, and it was a challenge. It was a challenge. And I decided I'm going to do something to fix this particular challenge. And so I did. On the screen, you'll see there is a hangar bay. And we had a series of simulators on the base in Miramar that you could go into the hangar bay and you could get into the simulator and you could do your training. Now, here's the challenge. The simulator building was open from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. The access to the simulator was based on rank. So if somebody with a higher rank came in, they could get in and I would be sitting there waiting. And from 9 to 9, pretty much every day, the simulator building was busy because people were practicing and getting better. But starting at 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon and going till 9 o'clock on Friday afternoon, it was empty. Why? Well, because Marines go to the bar on Friday at 5, frankly, so it's completely empty. So what I started doing was booking those times, 4 hours. I would sit inside of that simulator. And I would close my eyes or blindfold myself and try to find every single switch inside of the cockpit blindfolded, because I knew if the F-18 turns at 60 degrees per second, that a dogfight is won by 180 degrees of advantage, right? So let's say I meet an airplane, they fly straight, I turn 180 degrees, that takes me 3 seconds, I win. But rarely does that happen. So what I realized was a dogfight, you could win in an F-18 dogfight by making 3 decisions just 1 second faster than your opponent. Catch that? If you do 3 decisions, you get 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees, then you win. And all the time I was losing, I was looking behind me, wearing this helmet, by the way, I was looking behind me at an airplane that was beating me because they were gaining advantage. But when I sat there blindfolded, what I would do is find all those things, because if I could just save a millisecond, it would contribute to that second that I needed to get to 60 degrees. Then what I did was I started flying perfect turns. In an F-18, a perfect turn happens at 307 knots, not 310, not 305, 307. And I started practicing, what does a perfect turn feel like? And then I would start to slow down and I would start executing maneuvers using my rudders and carefully crafting this aircraft across the sky. And I trained and I drilled and I trained and I drilled and I trained and I drilled and I drilled and I drilled and I drilled. And 3 years later, I was the #1 instructor in the Marine Corps for 1-against-1 dogfighting. Not the best in my squadron, one of the best in the entire Marine Corps. In fact, I was recognized and I was going across the world, Japan, across the whole United States, into Iraq, training our young students at this delicate art of dogfighting. 3 years to go from the worst to one of the best. Now, I already told you, I'm the guy that failed kindergarten, okay? And so things weren't always simple for me, but I did understand one thing. And that one thing was the power of small changes to make a big result. The power of small changes to make a big result. So, as you joined me on today's Zoom training, I've got a few things prepared for you to show you where the expert, speaker, and author business is now and where it's going. For you to be able to make the kind of money that you want to make and to have the kind of impact that you want to make and to be able to share your message with people is not one big idea. It's just a few small incremental changes. And when you make these changes, it's going to open up the door for you to a lot of money, but also a lot of followers and also the kind of lifestyle that you want to have. Okay, so here's the deal. We've got about 40 minutes roughly that we've got time together, but I will just tell you right now, I will stick around. If you have questions, if you want to interface a little bit about your topic or how you're sharing your topic, I'm more than happy to stick around because I truly care about you and I care about your message. Some of you didn't catch this in the beginning because you just joined me, but if you don't share your message, nobody's going to, okay? There's no plan B. God designed you for a very specific purpose, and I want to be able to be there to kind of push you, to encourage you, and to be your mentor. If that means together we work together long-term, if you end up working with me in one of my products, great. And if not, that's fine too. I just want to look you in the eye and say that I believe in you. And now is the time for you to get your message out there. Now, on today's webinar, I will be taking your questions towards the end of our discussion. The way to do that, right below is a Q&A button. If you push that button, it'll just pop up a Q&A box. You can put your question in there anytime. There's a good chance I'll be answering your question as we go, but I am going to open it up for a time of Q&A. And I will tell you, I do these live. I don't do them recorded. Okay, this is for us to be able to interact successfully here together. And so I'll stick around. And I did this one of my last shows, I had 37 questions I answered because we were just interacting, okay? And I see a whole bunch of folks that just joined us. By the way, if you haven't had the chance to do this, jump in below on chat. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what kind of message you share. And when you do that, take a look real quick at the screen here. I just want you to see, click the little button that says all panelists and attendees. That gives us the chance to build a community of people that are sharing information with each other, because you never know, there could be business deals that come out of this. I'd like to say hello to Mark from Wales. What's up, Mohammed from Sweden? Brian from Virginia. Thank you, Adriana, for your awesome comments. Okay, so really quickly, just a really short background. Then I'm gonna jump up on the whiteboard. I'm gonna show you what happened in 2020, and I'm gonna show you how to change your speaking career this year. I already told you that I failed kindergarten. I ended up graduating from kindergarten, ended up graduating from college, went in the Marine Corps, flew F-18s very successfully, and I left the Marine Corps back in 2006 because I had a passion for sharing a message. I wanted to be a speaker. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't even know how to start. I didn't even know how to build a website, but all of a sudden, I started making some money selling information products. So back in 2006, I created a little business that taught people how to be fighter pilots. I created a 6-figure business out of that. I created another mentoring program for people who are basketball referees. Some of you recognize the name Ed Rush. That's my dad as well. And so I started creating these online businesses. Now, the funny thing about it was that wasn't my intention, but it ended up becoming successful doing that. From there, I started getting asked to go speak to entrepreneurial groups. So I was standing in front of entrepreneurs, talking about some of the success that I had in business. I was growing into the 6-figure range, soon to be in the 7-figure range. And what happened is people would come up to me afterwards and start asking me if they could hire me for coaching or consulting or advising. 462 one-on-one clients later, I have been blessed to be able to help some of the biggest brands in the world and some of the best communicators in the world. One of those people, by the way, is my good friend, Brian Tracy, who you know introduced you to me. About 8 years ago, Brian asked me to come in and help him and his team with their digital marketing. And then right after that, Brian personally asked me to come in, and paid me, by the way, to help him with a component of his speaking, launching and presenting a specific course. One of those components is one of the speaking models that I'm going to be teaching today. So some of my clients include some big brands. Some of my clients include people you've never heard of. Some of my clients include people like Brian Tracy or John Assaraf or Pam Hendrickson or Mike Hannings or Bo Eason, some of the most successful speakers in the world. And I can tell you, if I can help people like that grow their business, and I can help regular people who have no following at all grow their following, I can help you too, okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna jump up on the whiteboard and I'm gonna start teaching. What I want you to do is grab your pen, start taking some notes. I would love it if you took even notes in chat just so that everyone can see it. Again, click all panelists and attendees so everyone can see. What's up, Mary from Fort Wayne? Good to see you. John from Tampa. I love it. John is a consultant. John, speaking is one of the single best ways to grow your consulting business. I launched an entire 7-figure business using speaking back in 2012. I can tell you that story as we go. What's up, Adriana? Mary from Fort Wayne, Indiana. What's up, Beverly from Boulder, Colorado? I was just there last week. I was in Estes Park for a little fly fishing trip through the ice. What's up, Dwayne from Canada? Hello, Sophie from Canada. Good to see you as well. Awesome that you joined us. And by the way, if you just joined us and you're like, what are we doing today? My name's Ed Rush. I'm a former F-18 fighter pilot, 7-figure speaker. And my job today is to show you what happened in the last year, what's going to happen next when it comes to the speaking world. This is going to be very interactive. I already got the first question that just came into the Q&A below, which is from Marek. And Marek says, does virtual speaking really work better than in person? And Marek, I'm going to answer that question today. A fantastic thing happened in 2020. Fantastic. And by the way, I know a lot of the people in the world are like, 2020 was like the worst year. I mean, for the pure speaking business, 2020 was a really bad year. But I grew my business in 2020. I made more from speaking in 2020 than I did in the previous years before that. And there's a reason for that. And I'm going to show it to you very quickly. So first of all, what happened in 2020? Right around, as you know, like what happened in the news. Okay, so I got to tell you what happened in the speaking business. What happened in March of 2020 is that the world started to lock down. One of the biggest events that came off the map actually was in late February last year was South by Southwest. When that speaking event, or sorry, when that event went off the map, I don't know if you remember that, the speaking world changed and almost everyone canceled their events. A few little companies here and there kept having their events, but I'm talking like wholesale went off the board. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you the 4 ways to make money as a speaker. Most speakers have one, okay? By the way, those 4, I'm going to get into it, are fees, so you getting paid a check to come in and speak. Products, you offering back-end products or services, which I'm going to talk about how to do in just a moment. Consulting, which I put into 3 categories: consulting, coaching, advising. I'm going to explain all this in a moment. And books. Did you catch that? So there were 4: keynote fees, products, consulting, coaching, advising, and books. One of those went away. Keynote fees-based speaking, for the most part, went away in 2020. I do know some of my colleagues and friends who have gotten paid to do virtual presentations. I know some of my colleagues and friends who are trainers who still are getting paid to come in and teach groups like Cisco. But for the most part, number 1 went away. But guess what happened with the other 3? Now, I want you to write this down, and I would love someone right into chat to write this down. This is a massively important point. When times are certain, people get complacent. Did you catch that? So when times are certain, people get complacent. And I'm going to be writing on the board today, which doesn't mean that you can read my writing. Okay, it's just going to be writing on the board. Now, here's the second part to this. You ready for this? When times are uncertain, people buy certainty. I hope you caught that. This is going to be fundamental for our time together. Thank you, Mary. When times are certain, people get complacent. But when times are uncertain, people invest, or people buy certainty. So if up till 2019, you had a message to share, or you had a product that you wanted to offer, or you have your coaching or consulting, or you wanted to be able to get clients and you were trying to market it and you were like, what the heck? It's not working. It's because the times were so certain. Stock market was good. Everything was generally okay. People started to get almost into a trance. But then all of a sudden, March of 2020 happened and everything became uncertain. And in that moment, people went whoop, and they were looking for answers. Okay, now I'm going to tell you my story anecdotally. Thank you, Rahut and Marilla, who put those comments in the chat. And by the way, here's what we're going to do. Normally when I'm speaking in front of an audience, I say, does that make sense if it does say hoorah? And everybody says hoorah, because that's a Marine Corps term, but we can't do that because this is Zoom, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, does that make sense? Give me 5. And all you're going to do is give me the number 5 in chat. Okay, so here you go. Does that make sense? Thanks, John. John's like, hoorah. There we go. Mary, Clara, Rohit, you guys are fast on the 5s. I love it. Chris, Samantha, Bob, thank you. So this is how we're going to interact, all right? And again, I'm going to get to your questions in just a little bit because I want to make this interactive. And Kevin just asked a question about gear, okay? This is really, really important, Kevin. That was very smart of you to ask the question about the gear, because I'm going to get to that. What happens in your virtual studio right now is massively important. How you communicate in your virtual studio is really, really important. And I've made it my profession to get to know how to do that. That's a lot of what changed in 2020. Now, here's my story really quickly. I was at a speaking event in March. I was actually in Dallas. I was speaking up on stage. The whole world was starting to shut down. The hotel itself actually was starting to shut down. Well, I was at this speaking event, and we knew at the time it was the last speaking event for a while. And I stood up on stage and I told the folks when I was speaking at that event in Dallas, I said, look, the entire world is going on virtual. You need to understand how to stream on camera, and you need to understand how to use Zoom. And I'm here to tell you that I am about to do this. And I got on a plane and I went home and I started, and for 90 straight days, every single day, I streamed online live for 1 hour a day for 90, I took the weekends off, by the way, for 90 straight days. I am now over 120 live 1-hour online shows. There's probably been another 30 Zoom sessions that I've done over the last 6 months, and there's probably another 30 interviews. Those fueled the engagement behind my business growth, and I'm going to talk about how you're going to do that. Now, just so you know, keynote speaking is coming back, okay? So it will make a comeback, but in the meantime, now is the time to grow your following, to engage your following, to really, really, really hone your message and to have a blast doing it, okay? So I'm gonna give you 4 main areas that you can grow your business this year. And then I'm gonna give you some nuts and bolts about the studio, which is really important. Thank you for your 5s. John says, I help small business startups to do market research and business plans to find out if there's a demand for their product or service. John from Market Data, what's up, dude? So we've got people from all different kinds of businesses models, which I absolutely love. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 4 main areas that the market's changed. Then I'm gonna go deep into a couple areas on the speaking. We're gonna come back out, talk about a couple things together, and then we're gonna get into your questions. And for those of you who just joined us, we've got about 40 minutes together today. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stick around as long as you want to answer your questions. I did a webinar just a little while ago. We did 37 questions. Right now I've got 3, okay? But I'm gonna answer your questions because I really do wanna be able to support you one way or another. And again, I said this, but if it means working together in coaching, great. If it ends up that you work with me in one of my products, awesome. But if it doesn't, that's okay too. I just want to be a small part in your big success, okay? And I mean that when I say what I just said. All right, so there are 4 main areas. You're gonna want to take notes on all 4 of them. And then the third one, we're really gonna dig in a little bit because this third one's gonna be really important. Okay, so the first thing that happened or that you're going to want to get dialed in this year, and this is gonna sound a little bit strange at first because you're like, wait a second, how does this fit into 2021? Is the first thing you're going to want to do, and I just call it dialing in your persuasion, okay? Now, this word right here, that word tends to make people go, okay? And I'm using it on purpose, by the way. I could have said communication, I could have said influence, okay? I could have said your message, but I'm actually using this word on purpose, and here's why. This world completely changed over the last year. Some of you are familiar with persuasion being something like NLP or some sort of communication style where like people drive a sale down someone's throat. That went flying out the window in 2020. That literally doesn't exist anymore. I can tell you, if you hear that kind of sales message right now, it actually gets made fun of, okay? And if you hear it like me, you're like, oh, it feels like someone scratching their fingernails onto a chalkboard, okay? The best communication right now, the best persuasion right now is the kind where you don't even know it's happening. So, for example, I have 4 kids. I have a 15-year-old girl, a 13-year-old boy, a 12-year-old boy, and a 2-year-old girl, okay? 15, 13, 11, or 15, 13, 12, 2. All right. Yeah, I do know what causes that. All right. People always like, you know what causes that? Yes, I do know what causes that. My 2-year-old, I love my amazing. It's amazing having a baby around the house. Okay. Now, if you're a parent, you understand persuasion. Okay. Do you know how hard it is? Yeah. Stell says, I need 2 fridges. I have one of those big wolf ones. Okay. All right. So do you know how hard it is to convince a 2-year-old to do something? Do you know how hard it is to convince a 13-year-old to do something? Do you know that you can't come in there with your hardcore NLP sales strategies and tactics and be like, if you've ever wanted to grow your business and have more influence and put your socks on, then it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Do you know what works with 2-year-olds and 15-year-olds for that matter? Relationship, human connection, human communication. So what happened in 2020, one of the massive shifts that happened in 2020 is this is so good, by the way, is because of social media, because of the news cycle and the speed of the news cycle, is the persuasion shift happened. Your ability to communicate and to get people to take action, whether that's buying your book, buying a product, investing in your coaching or your consulting or your advising, investing in a service that you have on your company, has to do with your relational connection to somebody, okay? And it has to do, and this is super important, okay? It has to do with them. Now I'm going to get into verb tense in just a second, but before I do that, I want to just show you. I want to show you a little slide that I actually put. I do this in my trainings all the time. I'll put this slide up because it's fundamentally the most important single phrase that you can have in your entire marketing arsenal, which is this one. Did you catch this? It's always, always, always. And by the way, I could say 25 always to make this point. It's always, 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 always about them. In other words, your job is to make your customers the big hero in their own story. Now, side point, there are 6 tenses that you can use in your communication, right? You've got I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. First person, second person, third person, singular, plural, right? Most speakers, most salespeople and communicators make the mistake of speaking in the 2 wrong tenses. You'll hear people stand up on stage and say we. Now when we. The only time you that you should say we is when you are literally talking about your company, okay? Or they'll say you. How many times have you heard a speaker or communicator go, hey everybody, hi you all, hey what's up guys? It drives me crazy, by the way. It drives me crazy when speaker goes, guys, especially when there's half of the room are women. Okay, what's up guys? Okay, no to both of these. If you want to be powerfully persuasive in your communication, you know what you do? You anchor right here. Now, there's a place to talk about yourself, right? Like earlier in today's presentation, I told the story about how I had my first, when I got to my first squadron, right? And I started to work that I was telling you my story. That was me, okay? But check it out. Here are the tenses that you want to work in. You want to tell your story occasionally. You want to hang out here almost all the time and occasionally here. Now, when you're saying they, it's always about the enemy. So if you hear me talk about, like, for example, the government, I'm like, they're up there in Washington right now making all these decisions for you, but you and I both know. And when I say you and I, now we're talking about you and I. As an example of this, and everything that I do, by the way, is like a meta teaching for what you ought to do as well, okay? Everything that I do is a meta. So for example, I started today's presentation, and if you missed it, I'm just gonna start how I started today's presentation. In fact, I can look at it out of my notes. I said, you want to make more money, have a bigger influence, and build your business around your life and not the other way around. You have a message or a product or a service that's going to change the world. And when I was talking about you, I was talking about you. I wasn't talking about everybody. I was talking about you. Look you in the eye and talk directly to you as a person. And as a communicator in this new world, your persuasion needs to be dialed in. And the great news, and boy, this is awesome news. When I teach communication and persuasion, by the way, I have an entire course called The Secret Weapon, which is fundamentally the most comprehensive course on effective relational persuasion and communication on planet Earth. And if you speak from the stage or individually, it's like completely there for you. In fact, I usually have people sign a disclaimer because it's so powerful that you could actually start a cult with it if you wanted to, okay? And we always start here. I always start with my students speaking directly to their audience and building a relationship first, because everything comes out of relationship. This is one of the most important things that happened in 2020. And I'll tell you, people, when I start talking about persuasion, people will be like this. They'll be like, yeah, but Ed, I don't want to be like a used car salesman. I'm like, neither do I. And that's why relational, second person singular persuasion is so far important. By the way, I do have a training where I teach people how to out-negotiate used car salesmen using this technique. I've done it twice and it works perfectly, okay? So step number 1 is to dial in your persuasion. By the way, I'm gonna jump in the chat, okay? So if that makes sense, give me a 5, give me a 5, give me a 5. Jump in the chat, and 5 all panelists and attendees. What's up, Clara? You're fast, Clara, come on. Stell, thank you for that. What's up? Mike's got 3 5s. I love it, man. I've got more than 1 5 from Mike. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you, Karen, for the multiple fives. Muhammad gives me a thumbs up, and I appreciate that. Okay, number two, this is huge. This is huge. Okay, number two is, where did my notes go? Hold on a second. There we go. I got so excited, I moved my page. All right, number two is to maximize your time. Your job is really simple. Your job is to build a following of people who know, like, and trust you. Your job is to effectively sell your message, however that happens, okay? Whether it's in a product or some sort of a service or even in a book. By the way, I didn't mention this. I've written 5 best-selling books. My last book, 21 Day Miracle, was Amazon's number 22 book over all books, sold well over 30,000 copies. I was on the bestseller list for 6 straight months on Amazon, okay? It beat almost all the business books at the time. And one of the big income streams in my business are books. I'm gonna get to income streams in just a moment. Now, when it comes to maximizing your time, here's the thing that you need to remember. Time hasn't changed. Time is still moving forward at 60 minutes per hour, just at the same speed that it's going on. What happened around, though, is the world began to change. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and just say that human beings, we were not created for the 24-hour obsessive news cycle. There's a reason why I don't watch the news. There's a reason why that I just don't do that a lot, okay? I maybe check in every once in a while, but that's about it. And some of you who know me, by the way, know I have a plan to run for president. It's already up. If you want to go, man, I would have a movement that we're already started. So like keeping up on the news every once in a while is kind of important, but I just don't find it that important for me. If you feel like things have sped up, you would be right. I mean, how many of you felt like, gosh, it's like already February? Like, how did the year already start so quickly and go by? It feels like things are speeding up. That's because the cycle around us is speeding up. So the most important thing that you can do right now as a business owner is to be strategic about the use of your time. Now, full disclosure, I do not work that much, okay? I work on average about 3.5 days a week. I have a team of people that are strategically designed to handle and to create solutions where there are no solutions, okay? And you can ask the people who work with me, they are very empowered to be able to do this because fundamentally, I do 3 things really well. I learn new things, I create new things, and I communicate new things. Hopefully you caught that. 3 things. I took some time about 7 years ago and decided, what am I great at and what am I not great at? And what I realized is I'm really good at learning new things, creating new things, and communicating new things. You know what? Building websites are not one of those things. Spending time on social media is not one of those things. That's not me. That's not exactly who I am. And so what I did was re-engineered and built my business around those things. And I can tell you, for those of you who read my books, any of my books, you don't come up with ideas like this if you're spending your days in the trenches. You are the expert. You're the authority. You're the thought leader. You're the person that people should be coming to. And you do that by being strategic about your time. That's number 2. Okay, that one was fairly quick. This is the one that I'm going to spend a little bit more time on. The third thing, massively, hugely important. Okay, the third thing is to create multiple streams of income around your message. All right, number 3 is to create multiple streams of income around your message. Now, I'm going to erase the board as it is, which means you're going to have to put this in your notes. I would love right now if one of you would take, thank you, Rahit, who've been taking notes. Somebody could put 1, dial in your persuasion. Number 2, maximize your time. Number 3, create multiple streams of income around your message. Throw that into chat for me. Hit all panelists and attendees. And by the way, I got your questions. Marek, Kevin, Muhammad, thanks, John, and Elaine. So great. I'm going to answer all this stuff. Okay. Like I said, today's interactive. A lot of people do Zoom meetings that are like, you ever been to like a pre-recorded one where it's like noon and then you show up and the dude's in LA and it's dark out of his window? Okay. I don't do that. I would rather have a nice intimate one than 1,000 ones that are all, Marilla, you're the best. Thank you very much. Do me a favor, Marilla, copy that one time. Here, let me just do this for you. She took some beautiful notes, but you got to click You got to click all panelists and attendees. Otherwise, I'm the only one who sees it. There you go. I just copied yours. Thank you. Credit to Marilla. Thank you for that. You're the best, dude. All right. So yeah, I watched a webinar the other day. The guy was in LA. It was noon my time. It was dark outside his house. I thought, I don't think this is live like he said it was. Anyway, so this is what I do. Interactive, because I think it's fun this way. Plus, what's the point in teaching if I can't sit here and answer your questions? All right. So, and for those of you keeping track of time, I got maybe 10 minutes left on the main overview. My goal was to set the foundation and then to be able to jump in and answer your questions. And we're gonna have a lot of fun with the Q&A, okay? So if you can stick around, it's gonna help you a ton. All right, thank you, Adriana, for your for that as well. Okay, so multiple streams of income. I mentioned this before. There are 4 ways to make money as a speaker, okay? And when I say speaker, I mean thought leader or expert. So it could be online, could be offline, could be with your message, could be with coaching, could be with consulting, okay? But there's essentially 4. Number 1 are fees. You're familiar with this if you're a speaker because you get paid a keynote fee or a check to come in and speak. And by the way, I've done hundreds of thousands of dollars of this. I'm represented by a speakers bureau. I've spoken all around the world, having gotten paid anywhere from $5,500 all the way up to about $15,000 for a single 1-hour presentation. And these are great. This is a great business. Kind of went away in 2020, but it really is a great business. The second one are your products. Now, most people who have a message should have a product. This is not a product. See that? That's a book. A book will sell based on the number of pages and the kind of spine. So for example, this is about a 230-page book, paperback, 19 bucks, 15 to 19 bucks. If it was hardcover, 25 bucks. Okay, if it had another 100 pages, 29 bucks. My point is the value of a book is based on not on the information that's inside of it, but it's based on the binding. Now there's a great place for a book, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But if you're a thought leader, if you're an expert or you want to share your information, a product is the way to go. Now, a product is nothing more than your teaching that's put into a membership site where people can invest in your training and your teaching so that they can work with you. Okay. And you're going to see, I'm going to show you some of mine in just a moment to show you kind of what's available out there. All right. And again, like I said, if you end up working with me, great. And if you don't, that's fine too. Okay. I want to be able to help you either way. So products are number 2. All right. Number 3, I'm going to call this consulting, but really what it is coaching, consulting, and also what I call advising. The difference, by the way, between consulting and advising, consulting is where you're going to come in and help a business or an individual, and you're going to actually be doing some of the work and helping them. Advising is when someone comes to you, you answer their questions, and they go off on their own. Okay. When I worked with Brian Tracy, like when he hired me, he brought me in initially as a consultant because I was helping them and doing some work with them on their online platform. Then he brought me in as an advisor where I was actually training him on a component of speaking. Okay. So this is the third category, which I call consulting, but there's these 3. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about a business I started in 2012. There's a book called How to Turn Clicks into Clients. That was actually my second book. So in 2012, I launched a business doing online marketing for attorneys. We went and decided at this point that the best way to get in front of attorneys is to go to the Bar Association, which is where attorneys do their training, and to get in front of attorneys and basically to talk about our company. Sangeeta asked, what about counseling? Same. I'm going to put this in this category. Anytime it's you getting paid to help solve someone's problem, we'll put it into this category. So perfectly acceptable, right into the category number 3. So we used to go in and speak to the bar associations, and they used to come to us afterwards and sign up for a $15,000 service package at $2,500 a month. Now, you want to know something crazy? That was 2012. We started this company. I went and spoke for a year, 48 bar associations. We went from 0 to 7 figures in 1 year on the back of a great speaking presentation. Now, the other funny thing is if you know anything about bar associations, you can't sell. Like you can't back of the room like you can with a product. You can't sell. But what you can do is deliver such a great presentation that people come up to you afterwards, like they did consistently with me with this presentation, and ask this question. So Ed, it sounds like you have a company where you help people with their online presence. I think we should cancel our contract with FindLaw and go with you guys. What do you think? Now, I don't have time to go into why this is so powerful, but this is where somebody is viewing you as the obvious expert. It was Dan Kennedy who said, I don't want to be an annoying pest in my marketing. I want to be a welcome guest. And when you speak and then you offer your consulting, your coaching, your advising, your counseling at the end or during your speaking, you can make tens of thousands of dollars per talk. My record to this day, my single talk record is $429,000 from a single 1 hour talk because of follow-on coaching, consulting, and advising. I got over 22 coaching members out of that single talk, okay? Now, my record keynote is like $15,000. My record talk here is like $429,000. My record here, by the way, is like $75,000. Okay, which is crazy because you think people like Muhammad Ali were getting like $70,000. Like you got to be a name brand to get $70,000 as a keynote fee, but selling products, man, you can help a lot of people and make a lot of money. Offering coaching, consulting, advising. Now, let me pause for a moment. Sometimes when I get to talking about this stuff, people go, wait a second, Ed, I don't want to be one of those speakers that goes up there selling my products. But what if you could do it in a way that was so seamless that people, by the time you got to that part of your talk, they're like, man, whatever this guy, whatever she's got, I'm going for, because they were so connected to you relationally because of the way that you were communicating to them. That's how important that is. Okay. Number 4 are books. If you don't have a book, this is the time to do it. Okay. I actually have a mentoring program where I help people write and launch books and guarantee that they're going to be a best-selling author. That's not even my job to talk about today. This is the time to get your message out there. If you want to build a following, if you want to start an online show, if you want to start a podcast, if you want to write a book, create a product, get some coaching going, this is the time to do it. Let me just go back to what I said earlier. In times of certainty, people get complacent. In times of uncertainty, people invest in certainty. Right now, we're in one of the most uncertain times in human civilization. So if you talk about business or healthcare or marketing or organic gardening or vitamins or any, I mean, I've worked with over 400 different topics. It doesn't matter the topic. People are interested in finding out the answers that you have. And now is the time for you to do it, which brings me to one of my last points. And then, like I said, we're going to get into some Q&A, which is, this is number 4, by the way. Now, and by the way, when I say now, I mean like now. Now is the time to dial in your home studio. I'm going to open up a training, by the way, sometime on today's show. I'm going to open up next week. I'm going to meet with some of you on Zoom. We're going to do it not like this is a webinar. We're going to do it in a Zoom meeting where we can actually meet together and see each other. Okay. Part of the idea here is this is the year. If you don't have your home training studio dialed in, now's the time to do it. Now, I'm going to do something that I would never recommend that you ever do. Okay. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage the camera on my computer. Now, I want you to look at the difference here. This is what most people, when they're talking, I don't know why I think this is so funny, but this is when most people are on Zoom, or most people are talking on some sort of interview. You see it even on like CNN, okay? Or some of the Fox News or whatever. You see somebody talking at their camera like this. I want you to look at the difference between this. Hold on, and that. You with me on this? Look at the difference between this. Here's the thing. When you talk to your camera on your computer, your chin comes down. And when your chin comes down, you look like Jabba the Hutt. All right. And I'm talking about myself right now. Now, this is a lot different. Okay. So just like playing around. There are four things that go into a great professional home studio. There is the set. In other words, what's behind you. There are the lights, okay, and you need 3 different kinds of lighting. I don't have time to go through all these, but you need ones in front of you. You need lighting on your own set, and then you need lighting behind you. All right, I can talk a little bit more about some of the stuff in the Q&A section. So the first one was the set, the second was the lights, the third was the camera. What kind of camera you use? There's 3 different kind of cameras that I recommend, and then your audio. Right now, for example, I'm using a lavalier microphone. I've got right over here, I can't pull it into the camera right here. I've got a dynamic condenser microphone right there. Sometimes people just use the one on their computer. I can give you some ideas on that. Did you catch that? Your set, your lights, your camera, and your audio. Those go into a professional presentation, okay? So let me just kind of recap just a little bit of what we talked about. And then, like I said, today, my goal today was to really be able to give you, to just dial in and to be able to answer your questions and to be able to help you regarding your speaking and sharing your message, okay? Before I do that, let me just kind of go back to this and kind of recap. This speaking market, this one here, the speaker fee market, kind of went out. That's going to be coming back, don't you worry. But in the meantime, these three totally accelerated, okay? So I mentioned this earlier, if you just joined me. Most of the speakers that I know, the people who have messages, lost their business in 2020. There's the keynote. I mean, I knew guys who were doing 40 talks a year at $10,000 a talk, and it just went totally out the window. But my business grew in 2020, and there's a reason for that. Number one, I have a very stable foundation of products. I'll show you some of those in just a second. Number two, I have a very robust coaching, consulting, and advisory practice. Okay, so I have people who pay me $2,500 a month to do coaching. I have people who pay me $25,000 to $70,000 a year to do coaching and advising. Okay, those are built on the foundation of my communication as a thought leader and an expert, which is exactly what we're doing right now, or what I would do on my online shows, or my podcast, or what I would do on social media. And then there's books. Now, here's the funny thing about this. This one here went negative, but these other ones went positive in 2021. I mean, this one went gangbusters. These went gangbusters so much more that my actual business grew more over the thing that I lost, okay? And this happened because I built that foundation, right? So where do you go right now? Where do you start as a thought leader or an expert or somebody who has a message? The first thing is smile. I mean it. Big, huge smile on your face right now. The world just got really interesting for you, okay? And I won't go into all of the details on this, but I can tell you that the next 3.5, 4 to 5 years are going to be bumpy. They're going to be bumpy. And that's really, really good news. I know it doesn't sound like good news, but the uncertainty in the world right now regarding a lot of things about money and government and finance and science, a whole bunch of things are very bumpy and uncertain. That uncertainty is going to turn people towards you. So if you've been interested in doubling or tripling your income, if you want to grow a following of potentially hundreds of thousands, if not maybe millions of people, okay? So I have literally hundreds of thousands of people that follow me. If you want to grow a following of hundreds of thousands of people, if you want to be able to communicate a message that's a hopeful message or that helps people with their business or their life, now is the time to do that, okay? And you're going to do it in one of these categories right here, and that's how you're going to be able to do it, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to erase the board real quick. I'm going to get into the Q&A in just a moment. Now, let me tell you what I have got in the Q&A. I've got Bob is in a good question. Thank you, Bob. That's a good question, by the way. I have Alicia, John, Mohammed, Kevin, and Marek. I'm going to get to your questions in just a second. Now, what I want to do really quickly is I want to answer one of the questions that I get all the time, which is people ask me about my products, okay? I have products that help entrepreneurs. My goal is to help you do 3 things really well. Number one, I would like to help you make more money, okay? And look, I was in this, and I've been in business for 15, coming on 16 years now, and 12 of those years were 7-figure years, okay? And I will just tell you, I've had money and not had money, and all things being equal, I'd rather have money. I was the same guy either way, okay? But one's better than the other. Let's just face it, okay? Because you can help more people, you can have more time freedom, you can impact the world the way that you want to. So one of my goals for you is to help you make more money. I believe in you and I believe in your message, but it doesn't make sense to have a message if you're broke, because if you wake up in the morning, you don't have money, you're thinking about getting money. But if you wake up in the morning with money, you're thinking about sharing your message, okay? The second thing is I want you to have a bigger impact. Our world needs good people speaking out right now. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at the news and realize that there's some very bad people right now sharing their message with the world, okay? And there's some very big companies that have earned influence that don't deserve that. And now is the time for the little people like you and me to stand up and have a voice. So number one was to make more money. Number two is to be able to have more of an impact. And number three is to have the kind of autonomy and freedom that you want in your life. Some of you remember, I said I work about 3.5 days a week, okay? And I want to be able to give you the freedom to be able to do that. Now, here's the deal. I was asked, so when Brian and his team came to me to work together on this Zoom meeting because you were following him, especially on his email list, they asked me to put together and tell you about a couple of my products, all right? And I will just tell you, I kind of overdid it, okay? You're gonna, so I'm gonna talk about this really quickly, but I just kind of started putting things in, and you're gonna get an opportunity to do a little coaching with me, and we're gonna get to work one-on-one a little bit, and it's gonna be really fun, okay? So I have to just say, what I'm going to tell you about is expensive, and I get that, but for some of you, it is worth it, okay? Because you are about to dial it in, and we're gonna work together, and I don't normally do this. My coaching programs, my group coaching programs start at $5,000, and my one-on-one program start at $25,000, but I'm gonna give you a chance to work one-on-one because I really care about helping you move forward, okay? So you're gonna get an opportunity to do a little coaching with me. I'll just tell you, this is not right for everyone. It's right for you, by the way. If you have a message that you wanna share, if you wanna create a massive shift in your finances, and you're teachable, okay? You're willing to let me push you just a little bit, right? It's not right for, look, somebody who's like a tire kicker or has some sort of scarcity mindset, this isn't right. But for me, if you're interested in doing a little work together, this is going to be for you. Okay, so here's the original program that I created. So actually, I was gonna give you 2 products, okay? I have 2 products that I think are right for almost anyone. My very first product, I'm gonna show you a little graphic of these in just a second. My very first product is a product that I call Secret Weapon Persuasion, okay? This is a product that I've sold for $9.97, real price, by the way. And this product has 3 separate levels. Let me show you the levels of this product really quickly, just so that you can get an idea of this program, okay? So this is the Secret Weapon system that you're looking at. This is my persuasion system. This is online instant access, which means the moment that you enroll, you get into this. Okay, there are 3 levels that I have in this. Level number 1 is what I call boot camp. These are 4 modules to give you the most important foundation for communication that you will ever get. My second level, because I like the military stuff, is called weapons training. This is advanced persuasion, communication, and influence tactics, which leads me to the 3rd level, which is called Jedi Master Persuasion. Now, here's an important thing about this last level. Jedi Master Persuasion is, there are 4 communication principles that are so powerful that I actually ask you to promise that you're going to use them for good. You will see when you get into it, it's going to blow your mind, and you're going to see you will never see another communicated message the same way ever again, okay? That's my program called The Secret Weapon. It's instant access. You're gonna get right in, and I recommend about 10 minutes a day for just a couple weeks, okay? So it's not like you're gonna have to invest the rest of your life into this program. You're gonna get in, the modules are short, you're gonna use the module and implement it in your life. And by the way, my guarantee is really simple. You're gonna make your money back, okay? And it's not even that, I'm gonna tell you the thing. Okay, the second program is a program that I call 21-Day Time Freedom. This is my definitive course on how to maximize your time. My guarantee inside of this course is simple. You're going to free up an extra day every week in 3 weeks, okay? It's 5 minutes a day. If you can get in, watch a 5-minute module and implement it within 3 weeks, you're gonna have an extra day off every single week. And I know that sounds like a pretty bold claim, but hundreds of people have taken me up on this and seen incredible results, okay? So that's this program right here. This is called my 21-Day Time Freedom Miracle. By the way, I failed to mention this. 2 bonuses inside of the persuasion course. My first bonus is called How to Out-Negotiate a Used Car Salesman. My second bonus is called How to Win an Argument with Your Spouse. Those are both very fun modules. I know it sounds like, but my other guarantee is you're going to save at least $1,000 on your next car purchase when you use my car out negotiate your car salesman module. Okay. So when I originally worked with Brian's team, this is what I put together. And we were just going to put these two programs together, but I decided for you, we were actually going to do something totally different. And I know that what I just said sounds like made up, but it's for real. I actually decided that I was going to add 3 more things in for you. Okay. Number 3, I'm going to give you a course that I call my Top Gun speaking course. Remember those 4 things: how to get paid a fee, how to sell your products, how to sell consulting, coaching, advising, counseling, and how to sell books from the stage? Not only do I teach you how to build a talk to do that, I give you all the forms, scripts, agreements, PowerPoint presentation, 5 different PowerPoint presentations, everything you need to build a successful business. I have a module on how to be funny from the stage, 19 different ways to get a laugh. I have a module with a Hollywood storytelling coach on how to tell great stories. We have a module on how to build the perfect talk. I have a module for you on how to be more persuasive in your talks and how to get people to say yes to you after your talks. This program, by the way, has sold anywhere between $500 and $2,000, or about $500 to $1,000. If I had to say individually this program, you're going to get this program here as a bonus. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do, this is a total extra bonus for you as well, is we're going to meet next week. Okay. And we're going to meet on a very small, and in fact, I may end up breaking it into 2 groups just to make it nice and small. I'm talking like 5, 10 people. We're going to do a coaching session next week on Zoom. I'm going to start with your home studio. Okay. I'm going to start by showing you how on as little as $200, you can build a beautiful home studio that represents your brand. Then I'm going to talk about online shows, podcast, social media, and how to build a following today, not how to build a following in 2020. So we're going to start on a Zoom call next week. Okay. Last thing, I'm going to add in 1 extra bonus. Okay. But this is going to be a fast action bonus because this is going to be time with me. So in a moment, I'm going to give you a link. Okay. So get ready because I'm going to tell you the price and then I'm going to give you the link. So a couple questions that I get. First question is, how much time do I need to invest in this? Give me 10 minutes a week, 10 minutes a day for 3 weeks. Okay. You can take the weekends off if you want. If you can give me 10 minutes a day, it'll completely change your business and your finances. Okay. The second question I get is the program guaranteed? Here's the thing. It's fully guaranteed. You have 30 days to try everything out, to test everything out. If it's not for you, you just send it back. You can get a full refund. Okay. And we can still be friends. Listen, I mean this when I say this. I want to help you. Okay. But if it's not right for you, that's fine. And I will tell you, very few people take me up on this option because when you get in, you are going to be blown away by what you experience. But if you're not, you can get a full refund. No problem there at all. Another question I get, what about team members and spouses? Your enrollment is good for you and your team and your spouse or anyone in your family. So if you got a high school kid you want to teach to manage their time better, put them in the course. You got a team member that you want to go through the speaking course so that they can build your website the right way, so that you can get more speaking talks. Totally great. I would love it's just 1 enrollment. Okay. So you're credited in for everybody. Instant access, you're going to get, the moment that you enroll, you're going to automatically get access to all 3 of the courses. And then next Tuesday, write this date down, next Tuesday at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern, we're going to do our Zoom meeting together. Okay. And that's going to be our interactive time for the first 5 people who are starting this program. Okay. Now, in a moment, I'm going to give you the extra bonus, but let me just tell you the website first to go to enroll. And then I'm going to jump in and start answering some of your questions that you asked me. It's just www, type this into your browser. Okay. It's www.edrush.com/speaking. Okay. Hopefully I didn't write off of the right of the screen. No. Okay. So edrush.com/speaking. My team is actually putting that link also into chat here as we speak. It's edrush.com/speaking. I know here's what you want to know. How much is this? Okay. So let me just show this really quickly. This is a deal. All right. So I know you're saying like, how much is it? Here are the products, by the way. You get 3 products. You get the secret weapon, 21-day time freedom, and my Top Gun speaker course. Okay. So the question, of course, is how much? The better question I like is what's it worth to you? My goal for you is really simple. I want you to make at least another $5,000 in the next 30 days from what you learn in this course. Okay. And if you don't, send it back. All right. And you get it for free. So Is it worth 4,000 bucks? Probably. Is it worth 2? Probably. But here's the deal. It's just 2 by 547 or 997. Come on. Now, is that a deal or is that a deal? Okay. I already told you the thing's 100% guaranteed. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a fast action bonus. This is what I'm going to do. The first 5 people who enroll, I'm going to just write this down here. I'm going to give you 2 30-minute one-on-one coaching calls or Zoom sessions with me. Okay. 2. So we're going to spend an hour together breaking down your message, talking about your talk, talking about how to get on online media or build a studio, whatever it is that you want to talk about, how to get more sales. And listen, these half-an-hour calls will be about 700 bucks. Okay. You're going to spend $997 on this course. So just the one-on-one calls by themselves are worth it. Okay. And that's my way to go above and beyond and just to show you that I really care about you and your business. By the way, first 5, okay? Because I can't do that for everybody. So thank you for your attention on that. If you have any questions specific to the product, jump in the chat and ask me those questions. And if you're in, if you say, hey, Ed, I'm in, I'm gonna give this a shot, tell me that in chat too while you're enroll first and then tell me in chat. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna jump on to my other camera over here and we're gonna go through the questions that you put into chat. So thank you, by the way, for your awesome questions. I've got 11 questions so far. You did an awesome job with the questions. And we're gonna do our interaction here. Thank you, Sophie, for that. The link is in chat. Let me just show you this really quickly. When you click the link in chat, I'm gonna share my screen here. Hang on. What you'll see is it's gonna take you to this page, okay? It's a very simple page. I already described what you get. You're gonna get my secret weapon system, which is my communication system. You're gonna get my 21-day time freedom system, which is my productivity system. Then you're gonna get my speaking course, okay? Which I'm gonna show you how to get paid well for your message. All you have to do is put in your name and you choose your payment option, okay? And here's the thing. See this box that says email? Put your right email in there, like the one that actually goes to you. We're gonna be nice to your email, like we're gonna be respectful of your email, but that's how you get information for the Zoom call. That's how you get access to all the logins and everything. So put your like the real email, okay? And there's information down here. There's a couple of testimonials and the guarantee is all down here. Now, the moment you enroll, within just a few minutes, you're going to get a login to my system and you're gonna get a welcome email. So here are the products. You're gonna see this is the secret weapon product, right? So remember I said bootcamp, weapons training, persuasion, mastery. There's a little button that says start here. That's where you're gonna start. Oops, hold on. The second product you're gonna get access to is the 21-day time freedom. Start here. There's some pre-flight principles and then there's your 21-day modules. And then you're gonna get my speaker product, okay? And you can see all the modules that are in here. This is so great. This speaker product has agreements and forms and welcome letters and sample presentations and everything, okay? So this is gonna be awesome for you. All right, so that's it for that. I'm gonna do, great. I'm gonna take your questions now, and then what I'll do is as we get going, I'll let you know who's in that first 5 there as well, okay? So jump in on that opportunity, and I'm gonna be answering your questions, and then we'll see how much time we have. I mean, I've got 11 questions, so I'll get through the questions. And then, like I said, yeah, Deborah, do me a favor, put your question in the Q&A. That way I can keep track of it, okay? All right, so Marek says, is virtual speaking better than in person? Oh, Elizabeth, thank you for your comment. Thank you for hearing your knowledge. Ever pack? Oh, all right. So the link's below, edrush.com/speaking. So Marek says, is virtual speaking really work better than in person? So first of all, the most effective way to sell anything, Marek, is one-on-one, face-to-face. So if you're looking for effectiveness, in person, one-on-one is the most effective thing to do. The most efficient way to sell something is on a stage in front of a group, okay? And there is truly nothing like that. And the virtual world does not, it doesn't compare to it, okay? So for example, if I was to go give a talk, if I was to go give a speaking presentation, I might get 20% of the people to sign up for one of my products, where if I was doing it digitally, it may be 10 to 15%. So it doesn't work as well. But first of all, you can get in front of more people, right? So I have a show every Tuesday and Thursday that I've gotten in front of tens of thousands of people that I wouldn't normally have gotten in front of. The second thing is you can do it more, right? So like if I had to go to Dallas and speak, I'd have to get dressed, go to Dallas, fly on the airplane, get there, go give my talk, come all the way back. I could do 10 virtual presentations in the meantime. So they're not as effective and they're not as efficient, but they are easier to do. And you can wear a jacket and tie like this and pajamas. Y'all know I'm not wearing pajamas, but okay. All right, so that's the first question. The second question, Kevin says, what's the name of your webcam? So Kevin, I am using, on Tuesday, when we do this home studio thing, I'm going to walk through each of the components: the set, the lights, the camera, the audio. Right now, I am using an actual Sony camera. My recommendation for people who are just building their home studio is to get a HD webcam. That's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm actually the camera that I'm using is actually called a Sony ZV-1. Now, if you're going to use a Sony ZV-1, you're going to need an HDMI connector, and you're going to need a different power source, which I don't have time to go into today, but I'm going to cover that stuff on Tuesday if you want to do that. My recommendation is, as you're building your home studio, the first thing to do is to get your camera off of your computer and up onto a tripod, which is where my camera is, above your eye line. Okay, the second thing is just to get something like an HD webcam that autofocuses on its own and that makes you look good. But thank you for the compliment too. All right, Mohammed says, I'm starting a business academy with 2 partners. I have the knowledge and the vision, and it's my passion to help people change their life. The thing is, I need your advice on where to start: YouTube, seminar, or just ads, email right away, getting the credibility as fast as possible. Okay, so Mohammed, I'm going to jump up on the whiteboard actually and give you the short version. So first of all, you and I could do 5 hours on this topic. All right, here's the link, by the way, edrush.com/speaking. And I hope, Mohammed, you're jumping into the system, because then you and I can get to work together one-on-one, assuming you're in the first 5, which I want to see if those are all gone. You ought to hurry up, okay? If you're thinking about getting in the system, now's the time to do it. It's edrush.com/speaking, okay? Sophie says, I cannot find that deal. Click on the link in chat, edrush.com/speaking. That has everything in there, and it's $9.97. Hopefully that's working for you. All right, so there's 2 traffic strategies. Again, Mohammed, this is the basics on this. We can go a little bit deeper on this when you and I end up working together. Okay, the basics are, there are 2 ways to get in front of your market. Okay, way number 1, okay, is to chase after the keywords that your market's typing in on Google, on Facebook, or on YouTube. Okay, or strategy number 2 is to get in front of your market. Okay, I call it get in front of them. Now, one of the most important things that you can do right now, grab a pen and write this down. Write down these questions. Who are they? Where are they? What do they want? Did you catch that? These are your market questions. Who are they? Where are they? What do they want? All right. Now, when you ask that second question, where are they? You answer this question. So for example, if you're working with on a business to business market, you're going to likely start on LinkedIn. And I would recommend just starting with some basic relational level content simply on LinkedIn. I've got over 10,000 connections on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. That would be the place that I was going to start. If you're working with 17-year-olds, I'd jump over to TikTok or Instagram. Okay. So when you ask the question, answer the question, where are they? You're going to get in front of them. Now, the second thing I'll tell you is we used to have a principle called spray and pray. Spray and pray went like this. You used to put your content everywhere and hope someone saw you. Those days are gone. My recommendation now is to find your single media that's going to be best connected with your marketplace and spend almost all of your time there. I know some people who have built 100,000 plus Instagram followings, like mine's almost 80,000 over on Instagram. I've known people who've built over 100,000 Instagram following and basically have nothing on Facebook. because that's their markets over on Instagram. Okay, so good. If you have a follow-up to that, ask me that question. All right, let's see. John, I don't sell things to the general public, not a coach, not a celebrity. Don't have a big email list. My clients are businesses that buy our market and industry reports, and we cover a wide variety of them. They buy from my website only when they need the info, analysis, not ongoing subscription. What can I do as a speaker? John, super simple answer to that question. Your market has a trade, some sort of trade association publication, or they have some kind of national meeting that they go to every year, or convention or digital convention. One of the very first things we did when I got into the lawyer market is I was like, where are the lawyers? Every year, the state bar associations have national meetings for their attorneys. And I'm like, we're going to get in there. And for real, I went and bought a trade show booth, $4,000. But when I bought it, I talked to the person on the phone. I said, look, we're not marketers. We are experts. So if you want us to get a trade show booth, we will. But why don't we carve out a 1 hour speaking slot for my team and I, so that way you'll get our expertise as well as the trade show booth. And I not only got a 1 hour talk, I also paneled another talk, and then we gave away our books for free, and we became celebrities at this thing and ended up getting a whole bunch of customers. So the best thing to do, John, is to find the place that your market's at and then begin to present like you're an expert, because you are, okay? And by the way, you don't even have to pitch your analysis. All you have to do is talk about your analysis, and people are going to buy from you. One of the guys that I watch who is an analyst quite a bit is a guy named Peter Zihan. Peter's exactly like that. He speaks with expertise, and then people end up signing up with him because of his expertise. And your market is awesome for being able to do that. All right. Elaine says, we don't have teams. Appreciate your story and what you do. Please drill down to us individuals. Very simple, Elaine. The very first thing you can do if you have the resources to be able to do it is to hire one single person that can take some things off your plate digitally. I'm talking about things like posting to social media, website building, communication via email list, anything like that. And usually you can start with somebody who's even $15 an hour and maybe an hour or two a day. Your job is to do two things really well: create content and sell that content. Okay. So good stuff there. Follow up on that one if you want as well. Bob says, how do you handle it when people think they already know what you do? So Bob, I have a technique that I use in my speaking called a pattern interrupt. You'll learn about that inside of the persuasion course. In fact, for those of you who are already invested in the course, let me show you. Hang on. I'm going to show you this because it's got a different name, Bob. See this here under Bootcamp. See where it says we interrupt this program? This module right here is my module. Okay. See, it says in this module, you'll discover how to interrupt someone's thought process and create a new line of thinking. The ground that I discuss is defined as the person's initial impression of you, your product, or your service, or your message. So the good news is, Bob, I got you covered when it comes to that inside of the product. What I do, the process is called we interrupt this program. The idea is to interrupt the person's thought process about you and then to bring them into something new. Okay, you do that with a pattern interrupting technique. That, by the way, I did this earlier in today's show. Remember the part where I started telling a story about flight school, but then I told you about how I failed kindergarten? Part of that was a pattern interruption technique where you're used to hearing this like success story about the success guy, but now you hear all this detrimental stuff that you weren't thinking that was coming. So that's how you do it. All right. The question was, what do I use for lighting? Do this real quick. So I have 3 different sets of lights. There's lights in front of me. There's lights that are lighting up the back. And then there's lights that are shining down from up here onto the top of my head. So those are 3 different kinds of lightings. Write this down. My lights are called GVM 560. All right. They're not the cheapest lights, but they're the ones that I like to use. And again, for those of you working with me this Tuesday, we're going to go through all the gear stuff as well. All right. Sophie, you are in. I think I just saw you. Oh gosh, sorry about that. There was no option for Canada. Honestly, Sophie, we're not against Canadians. couple of my coaching members are Canadians. I'm sorry that you, I really don't want to be discriminatory towards Canada, but thank you. You're in, and I'm looking forward to working with you this week. Mary says, I've been doing a lot of counseling for free. I want to help out during these trying times. Now I want to make money doing what I've been doing. Everyone comes to me loving. I say, no. Okay. So Mary, I have a fairly big stable of doctors that I work with and quite a few naturopaths. And a lot of them end up giving their services away for free to people that they say need me. Have you been saying that? But they need me, so I'm going to give it away for free. So here's what I did for my doctors, because they were like, people need me, I got to give this stuff away for free. So what I did was I actually created for them 2 practices. One practice was their for-profit practice, and my agreement with them was they had to spend 80% of their time on the for-profit practice, and 20% of their time they could do on the non-profit practice, okay? What that meant was in a 40-hour week, they could do 32 hours here, 8 hours here. They couldn't do any more than 8 hours giving away pro bono or free stuff. What my doctors realized in this process is a very fundamental principle that I learned from a guy named Joe Polish that goes like this. It goes like this. If they don't pay attention. Did you catch that? If they don't pay attention. And what my doctors soon realized was these folks were trying to get their health for free too. So in other words, they wanted their health advice for free, but they weren't willing to put the work in to get healthy because they wanted something else for free as well. And when someone paid, they automatically took your information more seriously, okay? So the way to do it is it's just to discipline yourself and just say, great, I can only do a small amount of free pro bono stuff, but everyone else is over here, okay? By the way, a line that you can use, which I've used a lot, is when somebody asks for something free, you say, look, you know as well as I do, you get what you pay for. And you're paying for a lot of things right now, your car, your home, the food, the coffee that you had this morning. If this is important for you, you'll invest in it. And that's the line that I would use. Okay, stop helping free people. Bob says, is brick and mortar still alive? What is your favorite option? Yeah, brick and mortar is still alive. My favorite thing are the companies that have distinguished themselves in a certain way against the competition, okay? The local hardware store didn't do its job against Lowe's because they didn't say, hey, we're the ones who give you the kind of service and the personal service that you want. They just decided to compete on price, okay? So the local businesses that are competing against the big ones on price are going to lose. But if you can compete on some other unique selling proposition, you're going to win. Great. Restaurants took a massive hit, but much like any business, it's a culling of the herd. So about half of the restaurants across the country will probably close in the next year and a half, which means those other restaurants are actually in a really good spot. This is the way you think about business sometimes. Okay. It stinks for those restaurants, by the way, but it's going to be able to help everyone else out. All right. Okay. Mark from Wales says, I inspire students to succeed from their hearts, not their heads. How would you touch the heart of a young person? Man, I do a lot of speaking for young folks. Impact, man. Impact. The generation that's coming behind us is into impact. So a lot of times when I speak to those folks, I'm speaking specifically about creating impact in their world and changing their world. Oh, Bob was, okay, gotcha, Bob. Marek says, building a following, is it best to go through friends and Facebook? Marek, go back to the answer I said about who they are, where they are, what they want. Answer the where they are question first, and then go there. I've had clients come in that wanted to be on LinkedIn. I told them to be on Instagram. I had clients that said they're on Instagram. I told them to go be on LinkedIn. Some people, Facebook is nothing. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. I live stream to Facebook, post every once in a while. I got 160,000 people on Facebook. I'm more interested in Instagram right now and LinkedIn. Okay. So, and depending on your market, Clubhouse is also another new one for you as well. Deborah, home studio. Quick recap on that. 4 things: set, lights, camera, audio. Okay. Good, better, best on the cameras, good, better, best on the audio. At the very least, for the camera, start with an HD webcam. Logitech, in my opinion, has the best products. After that, the next one on the audio is what's called a Yeti microphone. I got one over here someplace, $129 or $129 really nice USB microphone that'll get you in for less than $200 with a great camera and a good microphone. For those of you joining me on next Tuesday, one of the very first things we're going to do on Tuesday's training is go through your studio, and I'm going to give you some specific recommendations about your list as well. Ingrid says, how do you get your message across the audience? Ingrid, 4 things really quickly. So first of all, you've got your introduction. That's how someone starts talking about you. In this particular case, the introduction was Brian's emails that he was to send me, send to you. The open is when I start talking, okay? The body is the teaching content, and then there's the close, right? Which I did today, plus Q&A. This is the framework for a great presentation. This right here is the most important thing. How you start, okay? So today I said you have a message, a service, a product that's gonna change the world. That's how I started because I was talking about you. So the first thing is to grab people in with that. The next thing is in your body to be able to teach great points and move to the next point successfully. In your close is to get someone to take action with a CTA, call to action, and then to answer questions, okay? So fundamentally, I patterned or showed you the example of how to do it today. By the way, for those of you who are joining in my speaking course, my Top Gun speaking course, I help you build a presentation just like this. I actually give you the outline on how to build out a perfect presentation. All right, I've got one more question. If you have any other questions, put those into the Q&A. Let's see, hang on real quick. My team says, oh, bummer, I'm sorry. Mohammed says there's a validation error I got. So here's the thing, support@edrush.com. And here's what I'm going to do. If you are trying to make your order and for some reason it didn't go through, I'm going to count you in for those one-on-one calls that I said I would give to the first 5. My guess is we're already past the first 5 orders, but if you were trying to get your order in and for some reason you couldn't do that, if our system glitched or your system glitched or is an international problem, we're gonna take care of you, okay? So, but here's what you need to do. Email my team. It's support@edrush.com, all right? So email my team, support@edrush.com, and we will work tirelessly to make sure that you get in on this deal, all right? So I just wanna make sure, by the way, the deadline for this is Saturday night at midnight, but for those of you who are trying to get a little one-on-one help with me, do it now because I'm telling you those things are gonna go away. But if you've been trying to order and it's not working, email my team. I guarantee we'll get this taken care of today. Support@edrush.com. I just wanna make sure that you get a problem to do that. And thank you for your questions about that. I missed those in chat just before that. All right, last question that I have in here, and then we'll do a quick wrap up. Sanjita, how do you help flesh out our message? For example, let's say my message is nascent stage meaning, and I'm trying to figure out how to best start disseminating my message. How and where is the best start my dilemma? Am I ready for your program or should I be a little further ahead in the game? Okay, let me answer the last question first. Sanjita, are you ready for the program? Here's how I would suggest answering this particular question. The program's fully guaranteed. So why don't you let yourself make that decision and me together with you in the program. Here's what I mean by this. Let's say you get into the program, you start going through the modules, maybe we do a call, one of the calls together, and then we decide you're not ready for it, we'll give you a refund, and then you can, be better trained even on your way, and you won't have lost anything, okay? So the cool thing about the guarantee is you really get to kind of try it before you buy it. You get an opportunity to test the waters, and all the risk is on me, okay? The website, by the way, is edrush.com/speaking. Now, when it comes to flushing out your message, Sanjita, the first thing that I recommend that you do is look at your market and ask 2 questions, okay? The first question is, what do they want? Did you catch that? Ask the question, what do they want? And then the second question is ask, what are they asking? This is often in the form of a frequently asked question. Now, my friend Mike Koenigs actually says the second kind of question you should ask is called a should ask question. So you might make a list. What are the things that people want? this is going to force you to put down results. The second thing is to say, what are they asking? And the third thing is to say, what should they be asking? And start there. And the cool thing here, let's say you come up with 10 things here, and let's say you come up with 5 things here and 7 things here. Well, look at that. You got 22 videos now that you can put online, or 22 articles that you can put on LinkedIn, or 22 posts that you can put on Facebook that are going to connect with your audience on the kind of questions that they're asking. Okay? So cool. Good question. All right. So great questions. Great questions. We are coming down the home stretch, party people. Thank you, Sanjita. I hope I pronounced your name right. All right. Thanks for sticking here. I'm going to do a quick wrap up. Adriana, Andrew, Bartholomew, Brian, Clara, Daniel, David, Dawn, Deborah, Dr. Jaden, Emily, Francine, Ingrid, Jenny, Joe, John, Karen, Kelly, Ken, Kevin, LaRue, Marek, Marilla, Mario, Mark, Muhammad, Micel, Nadia, Paula, Phyllis, Rick, Robert, Rohit, Samantha, Sanjita, Shay, Sophie, Vitri, and Wolfgang. You guys are the best. Thank you for letting me, and everybody else who's here with us. I just want to congratulate you for sticking it out. I told you I'd stay a little late to answer your questions. So for those of you who are going to get into the program, awesome. If you're not, here's what I did. Hang on. I did record this. So what we'll do is we'll send this out tomorrow. If you're registered for this, we'll send it out to you. That way you can go through it. And what I'm going to ask my team to do is create some timestamps so that you can get into the training into some of the more pertinent points. And I think you're going to get a lot out of watching it again. In the meantime, send us your questions if you have any questions. Remember, the website is actually in chat. It's edrush.com/speaking. And I'm going to leave this up for just a moment. Thank you, Clara said, extremely valuable content. Thank you for serving others. Yeah, it's nice to meet you too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave I'm going to turn the cameras off and everything, but I'm going to leave the Zoom on in case you need to ask my team any questions, because I know some of you have been trying to get in. And like I said, what I'm going to do is leave, for those of you who may have been trying to get in on the deal, but for some reason you couldn't, I'm going to leave those bonuses open for those of you who contact my team at support@edrush.com. Thank you. Marilla says, terrific presentation, great tips and strategies. Sanjita says, appreciate you dressing up like you mean it. Sophie says, great. By the way, if you watch, I have a show that I do twice a week. I usually wear a t-shirt for that. But on these webinars where I'm talking about the importance of sharing your message. Plus, we don't get to wear suits that often in today's day and age. So, like, it's kind of fun. Anyway. All right. So I'm going to wrap up today's show. Thank you, Marek. Thank you, Sophie. I'm looking forward to working with you. Thanks, Brian. You guys are the best. I'm going to turn it off right now and stop the recording. We'll stick around in chat. Thank you, Dwayne, for your awesome comment. Thank you, Adriana. And maybe we'll do this again. All right. By the way, those of you who sign up for the webinar, you will be on my notification list. So next week, you're going to get an email from me called the Weekly Flight Brief, which it'll blow your mind. I sent one out this morning that was a big hit. All right. Thank you, Mohammed, for your awesome comment. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Karen. Thanks, Samantha. You guys are the best. Don't forget,